Well, it's been short. I mean, we've only practiced Monday and today, so it's been a short work week, and we'll practice again on Friday. So gave them all day Tuesday, Thursday. Those are their heavy exam days. Although today's pretty heavy too. So, but they've been they've been good. They practiced hard. We went for an hour Monday and an hour today, and trying to accomplish as much as we can and get them out of here so they can get back to cramming.
You talked about the focus this week being important on Saturday. Do you see that focus there, or will you not really know until you get on the ice on Saturday against Bowling Green?
Well, I think it's going to be more about Friday practice when exams are over, and Saturday morning. Then I'll know if they're fully engaged. You also got to consider they're probably packing their bags to go home too. So it's not just about exams. It's going to be about not leaving too soon mentally. We have to make sure that they can start their break 10 o'clock on Saturday night.
Do you give them like a laundry list of things to do during break just to stay in shape, to little things to work on?
Yeah, Tony Rolinski, our strength coach, does a great job. He keeps them. He has a workout program that they follow. In the off season, we test them before they leave as far as their body composition and their weight. To make sure that they don't come back here a little fatter and happier. They have to enjoy their time home with their family and friends, but it's also about making sure that we don't lose our edge in 2+ weeks that they'll have off.
Is there anything mentally, hockey skills-wise, that you try to have them keep up on?
Well, it's hard because each guy's got different situations as far as ice availability and things like that. I'm sure most of them will take their equipment home and skate with their old team, their junior team, or whatever, their old high school team, and I'm sure they'll get on the ice a few times if they have the opportunity to. But for me, it's more about their cardio, their conditioning, to stay in peak shape physically. We'll have a full week when they get back here to get ready to play Minnesota. So, hopefully we won't have to worry about, our conditioning level when they get back here, that we'll just focus on getting back to some detail stuff and let them know what's important as we approach the second half.
Well, you talked about Mario and TJ having decent chemistry last weekend, but what is it about that line, those three guys right now, that they complement each other well?
Well, it's about instincts, for the most part. I mean, Mike Varanza added Mike's got instincts too, but he's added some energy to that line. And as long as he doesn't change change the way he's played to get himself up there, that helps that line the way he's played, with the energy and playing with a little bit of physicality and crashing the net and helping get loose pucks back. That's one of the things that's helped that line as well. But Lucia and Tynan, I think it's all about their instincts. They see the ice well and they see each other. They know where each other are, and that's only going to get better as time goes on, as they play together.
Is that something that happened right away with those guys?
Well, generally, smart players, it usually happens. I mean, it's no different than Anders was with TJ. Real intelligent players generally have some, instincts when they're with other good players that have good instincts.
And you've had plenty of guys play in this junior tournament over the past 10 years or whatever now, but is there a noticeable difference when guys come back? What do they pick up by playing in that?
It varies. Some guys come back and it energizes them to have a great second half, and other guys, it hurts them. They come back and they're a little tired, or they're, it varies from guy to guy. I've seen guys, explode after the World Juniors and take right off, and I've seen other guys that have kind of gone in the hole. So it varies from person to person. I mean, the one thing about Mario is he hasn't played a lot of hockey this year, so I would expect that he'll come back, just as hungry or more so once he gets back from Russia. He still has to make the team, but I'm assuming that he will.
Going back to Mario's recruitment, have you ever recruited a player whose father was also somebody you go up against? And is this kind of a unique situation, or?
Yeah, it's a little different. Well, we actually recruited Mario's older brother, and so we had already gone through the routine once with the Lucia family, and I've known Don for years, and Don's got a good relationship with Andy Slaggert. I mean, Don and I have worked together at camps before. I mean, we've always had a great relationship and a mutual respect for each other as far as, what he's accomplished as a coach. And I think that it was an easy decision. Being his alma mater, I think opened some opportunity too, because it was a matter of convincing probably Mario's mom more so than Don, that Notre Dame was the place for Mario. So, and they went through it with Tony, his older brother, of him playing in Minnesota. It's tough for a coach to coach his son. Don wanted to try it. I remember talking to him about it, and he wanted to do. I mean, anybody would want to do that as a father. And it was tough though. I mean, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you play him too much, even if he deserves it, you're playing. It's because it's the coach's son. If he's not playing enough, you're hurting your own son. So, it's a tough scenario. And Don went through it once, and Tony was a great kid. Mario's a great kid. Don obviously knows Notre Dame as well as anybody, having been here for 4 years and played here. So, it was a great fit for Mario, and we're glad to have him.
What kind of sell job do you have to do on Mom? Would you have to tell her?
I don't think it was a sell. I think, it was just a matter of her being comfortable with him being that far away from home. I think that was more of the issue. And with it was so much craziness going on with the conferences too, I'm sure that played into it a little bit. But the fact that, that we'll still probably play 20 games at home, and we'll continue to play out. We've got a series with Minnesota for the next 4 years. I'm sure that didn't hurt to have Mario here to do that. But we'll play Duluth the next few years again. We'll continue our relationship with teams in Minnesota and continue to play out there because it's a strong recruiting area for us.
Did you guys put those Minnesota in particular on the schedule with Mario in mind, or is it just kind of like you said, a recruiting thing you want to make sure?
Well, we'd already been playing Minnesota the last couple of years for a single game, and I want to play good programs, and we do recruit in Minnesota, and it's important that we stay visible there, and we've played in Duluth. We'll continue to try and play Minnesota. We may play St. Cloud down the road. I mean, Minnesota State. There's a lot of good programs in the state of Minnesota, so it's not that hard for us to try to create some kind of a long-term relationship with at least one or two schools in that in that state.
You guys had to rearrange this year's game to make sure that he would be back in time, right?
Well, no, it was based on a few things. It was Mario or Don and I talked about playing the game after the World Juniors because he's missing 2 or 3 guys, and we thought we might be missing a couple guys too, 2 or 3 guys. So, we originally had to schedule it on a Sunday because of men's basketball there, and once they found out that there was not a men's basketball game on that Tuesday night, then we switched the game until that Tuesday.
And just for people, I guess us who've never seen it, what's the Minnesota hockey environment like?
They call it the state of hockey for a reason. I mean, it's they're the people of the state of Minnesota are it's very similar to what high school basketball is in Indiana, or maybe high school football is in certain states. High school hockey in the state of Minnesota is as big as any high school sport probably in the country. Hockey is. It's probably one of the few states where they draw, they fill the Excel Center there for their state championships. And that carries over to the college ranks, and the Minnesota Gophers play at a great building, Mariucci, and they fill it all the time. I mean, they have, 10,000 fans a game. And, it's a Big Ten environment, and, they do a great job there. And they recruit, 90% of their kids or more are from the state of Minnesota. So, that's why they have such a great following there.
You mentioned in the last week you'd hoped that Robbie would get a look for the World Junior team. What have you seen in his progress, not just this season, but since he's gotten here?
Well, I think consistency is the best word. I mean, there was times last year that he showed how good a player he could be for us back there, but this year he's been consistent. He's played well, I think, pretty much every night, and that's the difference between a good player and a great player. He's still a sophomore. He's still got a lot to learn, but he's had a very good first half as far as his consistency. Because the ability is always there, but he's played physically more engaged. I think he's found a comfort level with Kevin Lind as a defensive partner. They're friends. They get along well, and they seem to play well together, which helps too. So, but he's showing a lot of consistency, and hey, I'm still thinking that he's not totally out of the picture for the juniors. If the NHL resolves their issue, who knows who's going to be at their camp? you know, and I've also coached that team where there was injuries at their camp. So, and I know he's still, you know, he's still at the high on their list, but they have a number of defensemen similar to him, and that's probably why he didn't make the cut.
How key is it to get your kind of power play coaching here the last couple of weeks? How key is it just to have him back there, confident, making plays with the puck?
No, he's a smart player. He's got good vision, and he's got a good shot, you know, and that's something that we haven't had a lot of guys that have the combination of the ability to see the ice, make a play, you know, make good puck decisions, and also shoot the puck, you know, and he's one guy that has the ability to do all those things.
Brett Blatchford, I feel like comes to mind as a guy who did a really good job last
Yeah, Brett was good at that, but Brett didn't have a blazer. He had a smart shot. He didn't have a hard shot. He had a, you know, he knew how to get it through, you know, and that's sometimes half the battle. Is defensemen, just like forwards, have the instincts to be able to find those seams to get pucks through to the net.
Anything else for Coach?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.